In the downtime, we went and crossed that river that Zoot was talking about. Turns out it's a bridge.
No comment.
It's better than the, what was it, the T-plate?
T-plate, yeah. I just couldn't think of the word for saucer. T-plate.
The
It's a
T-plate.
good word, though. As long as you don't take it too literally, because it's not a plate of tea.
I just wouldn't like. You'd have to suck it up. It'd be like a cat with a saucer.
Yeah. Saucer was the word, though. So anyway, I digress.
It all came back around. But let's see who the cat that gets the cream is going to be. Actually, before we delve into that, let's have a look back on the clip that you wanted to see. As we've now got that prepared, so we can delve into exactly what went down.
It was a kind of, I think, in the end, it was a combination of things. I think it was a little bit Sparty moving into that angle, but it's just a tiny little rocket. I think it did 26 damage overall, so not a big rocket at all, but enough combination of the momentum that Sparty was carrying anyway to just get booped right off the edge of the map, and that was it. That was when okay, comeback's over now.
Yeah, little love tap, just straight off the edge. It was too much. He was gone.
Nice little. It's still an important shot for Tox because you kind of you can sell through over to those 8 points. Then at the end, when it was already super high pressure in basically the whole map up until that point.
Yeah, that is the relief rocket right there. All stress off. You can calm down and sort of take it as it comes from that point forward.
But we can get stressed out now, because we've got a pretty mad game on our hands.
Oh, hell yeah.
This is some big guns that we've got here. They're all big guns here, but these are some pretty...
Slightly
big
bigger
guns. Like, comparable to these rockets that we've got. Raisy and Cooler. That's a spicy meatball, but a different kind of one.
Yeah. Well, you know what they say. Roses are red. Raisy is red. Everything's red because he's killed everyone. It's going to be a slaughter,
I
potentially.
think that is... Yeah, that is the phrase I remember.
I've heard that one in school. I remember him teaching it to me in poetry class. But I'm excited.
Poetry class. Where are you from?
Come on. You have to be elegant. That's how we operate. But I'm excited to see who is going to be elegant off the back of this one. Raisy, I feel like he really can raise hell, honestly. He is a bit of a demon when it comes down to every aspect of Quake. So you know him inside and out. You know these players very well. Give me your insight. Unleash it for me.
Really, really mechanically gifted. He's got, I would say, the most diverse champion pool out of any player in the QPL. He's kind of taken Quake by storm, being a sort of previous unknown before Quake champions. Immediately put his mark down in QuakeCon 2017, almost 2-0ing Rafa, where we had the famous 7 seconds of misery that lingered on in his mind up until the Italian Esports Open in 2018, where he finally conquered his fears, got a 4-1 against Rafa in the grand final. This guy's a god. They call him the God Slayer, and he's got a god to go up against.
Wow. That was a good intro.
Thanks,
I enjoyed that. That was nice.
I enjoyed it too.
That was good. We need to do this more. Let's have a look at their opponent, of course. I feel like you'll know who this man is, but off the back of that, I want you to do another one of those hype intros.
Well, now there's standards to maintain. Cooler, I mean, he's just a loved figure of the community, a brilliant personality, and he's seen as one of the most influential players in the entire game with the style that he established in earlier parts in Quake 3, maintained it through in Quake Live, and still managing to go super strong in Quake Champions despite being one of the most senior players in the field. He's came second overall in this last QuakeCon, and I wonder if he can get himself to some form that we've started to get back from him moving in since last week of QPL where he beat Tox.
Yeah, what's crazy as well is Coollerz one of those names that you might have heard even if you aren't involved in Quake outside of this, because he's done a lot. It's the natural skills thing that this man has that gives him that extra firepower, really. You know, we've seen him delve into other titles. He's no stranger to just being a top dog at any given opportunity.
Yeah. Exactly, and I think we've got the vetoes now, because this is where it gets really interesting. We can start looking at some predictions and things like that as well. Oh, Cooler looks so happy there. We've got Corrupted Keep, Blood Covenant, and Veil. Those are the maps that we have before us. We do get a Raisy Anarchy right off the start. I'm very excited for that. Cooler is a brilliant Galena player, but I'm wondering if Galena's alterations recently and the fact that it is on Corrupted Keep, a map that's good for Anarchy, whether or not he'll suffer at all. Blood Covenant, great map for Cooler, but Nyx can be very tricky. I'm worried a little bit for Raisy. DK is good on Veil, but I feel as if there might be... I think it's close, but I think that the DK pick still worries me a little bit.
Okay, well, is Cooler going to be smiling off the back of these picks because he feels like he's going to take it? What do you predict?
I think he'll be... Honestly, I think he's very happy with all the champions that he's playing. It's based off his expectations against Raisy. There was a final before QuakeCon where Raisy took 2 maps in the final. It was it was a double elim thing, so he had to just win one best of 3.
The bracket reset.
Cooler didn't get a single frag in that final.
Wow.
But then when we went over to QuakeCon, Raisy still won, but the matches were so much closer that I feel that we're going to get a pretty, mind-blowing game on this occasion.
I think so. Like, looking at it on paper, roughly, all the games we had today had their hidden gems in there.
Yes.
This one is definitely not hidden. This is upfront, full center. We can see it all. We've got 2 players that, again, it's the contrast in styles, the contrast in history of who they are, of what they've achieved, and it does come together in a nice little package. I feel like off the back of the veto as well, honestly, we've been given pretty good champs for this. I don't feel like that really hinders either player for me.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, now when I'm looking at predictions, I think... I could see a 3-0 for Raisy, but I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think he's very, very solid,
right?
But I don't think he's been solid enough right now to get a 3-0 on Cooler. I think that he's after a 2-1 at the moment. He's just got a really good track record against Cooler, and I think Cooler could do very well to get a map, and he could do brilliant to take this series off him, but I think that's going to be a step too far for Cooler, from my opinion.
It's a hard one to call, obviously, just off the back of judging it for face value. Raisy can do a lot, as you said. We have seen his high moments, but obviously there's always that potential for a low moment that could come through. Cooler,
who you siding with?
Tried and trusted. Honestly, I feel like I've kind of got to go.
Are you going to fight me on this? I mean, you did well doing it last time, so.
I know, but I vibe it out. I base it a lot of just off the energy.
You can't predict after you've seen. I'm going to make a prediction now. We're halfway through the 3rd map.
Yeah, I'll sit on the fence until
called. I was like, right, how can I be most right possible?
No.
That's just observational.
That's how it works.
Really.
I'm an esports observer. You witness from the background. But no, I feel like it's got to be Raisy. Honestly,
Okay.
I was initially planning on going with Cooler just because obviously you've got the history behind him. We know what level of damage he can do. Although, I feel like potentially this season of Quake Pro League, this is going to be where we're going to see a lot of young guns that have so much more to build and have that history ahead of them where they can really carve the way for the future, are going to start making their legacies. That's why, in this situation, I've got to go for Raisy. Let's see if he's going to raise some hell, though. Cooler versus Raisy. Will Cooler be too cold to hold, or is Raisy going to be too hot to handle? Zoop, let's delve into it.
Now we've got Anarchy right off the get-go. Raisy gets himself the Mega off the spawn. He's still looking for a little bit more armor, but now he's seen that Cooler's gone up to the lightning gun. He's a little stuck up here. It is a Galena. There's no extra special mobility. Totem didn't get put down at all. I'm curious. Raisy is looking to go through the teleporter possibly. But he's keeping a sharp angle, so it's very... If he can keep Cooler here the entire time, he can get both major items. Cooler does push out at the right time, and that means he can fight for that heavy. It was pretty important that he did that, otherwise he gets totally played off of the map.
Yeah, that was a very long initial confrontation as well, taking us up to around the 39-second mark off the back of the open break where they've been able to retreat and actually start to gather some supplies now finally. They need to get those weapons in hand, stock up that arsenal before they can start doing some damage. It's a lovely rocket to open things up here from Cooler. Transfers a fair bit of damage back onto Raisy, but he is not backing down just yet, trying to push forward and storm the front.
Oh, the angle doesn't quite hit. They are eventually going to go back for their own items. Raisy does need to get himself onto more rockets actually, but definitely more armor. And they're feeling each other out at the moment. It's not too mad. Cooler's pushed out quite far, going on LG. Cooler's got a lot of armor on the back end of that. He actually still has tons of resources. I don't think Raisy was hitting too much then. And he's in a little bit of trouble. Now he's stuck up here. Can he get any rocket damage? Just a slither of it there with 36 damage, but he's taking bits and bobs more. Mega health is now up. That LG! What just happened to his LG? He just suddenly hit everything.
That is ridiculous. The follow-up rocket as well. That could have been his demise right then, right there. He comes back into it as well. Raisy playing just devilishly confident into this one so far. But Cooler, he's finally had a bit of downtime. He's been able to restock himself. We're already 2 minutes in, and there isn't a single frag on the board, but these two have been neck and neck, biting at their throats the whole time.
He's really hoping that this LG ammo box is going to be up, and I think Cooler realizes that he's after it. Raisy's just about going to be able to escape. He gets himself onto the mega health, but he's got less than starting stack. There's a little bit of light armor that's going to help him out. I think he got rid of those 2 totems. It's very important that he did so.
I think he did land it, yeah, the totems seemed to be down. That's actually quite lucky. It seemed like it was a near miss as well. The re-aggression back in, a bit of a spam out of his AR. But he won't actually find anything really too notable. Still, playing the defensive game as he roams around. He needs to get that stock back up, because Cooler does have an advantage in the HP pool department.
Armor's definitely more important for Raisy to get. He drops down. I don't know if he meant to do that. He has to really clutch out some rockets at the moment. If he stayed up at the top, I think he can go for the heavy. Now he's given up items to Cooler again. The heavy's just so much more important for Raisy to get overstack with, so then he can use his injection. Rockets aren't bad. He's been very patient with them. Oh, the rocket's going to find his feet. Cooler hangs around for a moment longer and gets himself first blood.
What is wild is the fact that was very nearly a trade between the both of them as well. Such a close miss. But again, he looks to try and aggress out. He will finally take him down as they split it 1-1.
There's a totem right there. There's no health. Where's the health? Okay, it's spawning for him. And there's the totem gone. Yeah, Raisy ties it up, but he's got to spend some time licking his wounds.
He's got to recompose himself soon. This has actually been a fairly impactful matchup so far. If it carries on like this one definitely is going to be going down in the history books as the lightning gun's coming through, trying to strike him down from above and hit him. The absolute thunder instead. Backs off, plays the safer game, restocks up a little bit and hit miss as Cooler almost connected him in mid-air. Still, these two duking it out constantly, going for the eyes as they're scratching each other's up.
Raisy still really needs to get a heavy armor. I don't think he's got one yet, I want to say. Do you remember one being picked up by Raisy?
I don't think so.
There may be one, but that would be it. There's still a whole bunch that have gone over to Cooler. But you know, Raisy's combat skills are holding him up. Even though he's been outstacked so often, he's done a great job at being able to keep Cooler at bay.
Ooh. I mean, the way he's been playing this has been so smart. And that is controlled aggression.
Oh, that was almost fatal for him there. There was 80 damage ready to pretty much destroy him there. I think he wants to go in aggressive. Wow. There's another totem. He's going to get rid of that very quickly. Attentive on that. Cooler managed to land a little miniature mid-air, and he's going to keep the score tied up right off the spawn. Raisy's got to back out of there. Very aggressive through a choke point. Gets punished rightfully so by Cooler.
That's a rough commit as well. At this point, finally Cooler's actually got a lead on the board, and he looks to try and add to that even more so as well. The LG destruction coming through. Raisy, he might have got the heal off to get himself some additional HP, but that won't matter when Cooler starts to slay as he's now bounding back into action. Amped up and fired up to really start to rip his way through. He's got a 2-kill lead, and the predictive rockets coming out to give him the additional benefit already. Spots his target. Will he be able to kill his prey?
I mean, Coollerz outstacks him so hard. He could just drop with the rockets. Raisy's movement on the ledge there is unbelievable. Injection was just used. Raisy did go down to just a couple of points of effective HP, but manages to leave the area. He's found himself a light. Still not able to challenge on this heavy armor properly. Coollerz just been rock solid on that item.
Shots whizzing by him right now. A bit of a slower playstyle finally coming through, but he's still landing those rockets. That's been the difference maker from Cooler. He's been so composed and such a rocketeer when it comes to skyrocketing his way up the charts at the minute. 5-2 as we hit the 6-minute mark. 4 minutes of mayhem remaining for these two.
Well, Raisy's going to try and battle past. He has got the heavy up in a moment. Almost knocks Cooler out of the map. Raisy's finally got a few resources to work with. Cooler's in possibly a bit of trouble at the moment, but his lightning gun has been carrying him places at the moment.
Ooh, the aggression coming around. It's a nice track. I mean, the prediction is there. He understands exquisitely where his opponent is, as he is just going out for fire off as well. He's got an absolute horrific amount of HP to play with, but it's going to be the damage that's the difference maker. So precise there on the LG as he over-aggresses. He had the stack to really take the fight to him as well. Didn't have to worry as much about his own HP pool. Burns his way down. Still trying to make this an even more shocking affair as that scoreline gets more and more bloated. From what was a very neck-and-neck start, at this point, it is non-stop domination from Cooler.
Yeah, Cooler's picking him up off the spawn. This is very, very difficult now for Raisy. There's time for him to make a comeback, but he's got to get control that we've still not yet seen from him this game. And Cooller's just stealing all the light armors off the map. Raisy can't get rid. He needs the heavy. Heavy's the only chance he has at picking up armor at the moment. Can he get there? Just about, but he's got to keep escaping, and there's continuous amounts of damage coming out from Cooler.
The audio cues as well, playing into his mind games as he knows exactly where he is, trying to get the shots across with the lightning gun. It's a huge connection. Raisy, will he re-aggress off the back of this? It knocks him round. They're still within a pin drop of each other as they're attempting to duke this one out. It's just non-stop from Cooler. He knows he can push the fight and try and just lead with aggression here, but he's still gaining stack for his troubles as they get back into an LG fire-off. Raisy does have the high ground, but will he be able to overthrow his Padawan here?
That was really greedy from Raisy to go for that. I'm very surprised he didn't go for any aggressive rockets when the heavy was picked up by Cooler. Because now the charge with the nail gun, he's going to get it. It's a mutual kill in the end. And it's actually Cooler gets Raisy and himself. Raisy now got himself onto the Mega Health. No armor to his name. And again, it's like armor's so important for an Anarchy. Did he just run past with the gauntlet out? That looks a bit weird. Raisy's got a heavy though. Let's celebrate on his behalf. Now he's got 1 minute and 45 to get himself back in the game. This is a lot to ask for, especially from one of those prominent defensive players in the whole biz. Oh, he's out of the map! And there's only 7 health left off the spawn. The Mega is going to be there. And he can still work his way back into this, but he's got to make quick headway. By the time Heavy spawns, he's got to essentially be locking down another kill. I think Coollerz going to step away from it.
He'd have to be looking like the Flash right now, honestly, if he's going to get back into this one. He only basically has 1 minute of real time left to play with by the time they actually find each other.
Coollerz is sitting on the Mega Health, which isn't spawning for about 15 seconds, and just Raisy's just not thought to check that because it's such a weird play. Oh, he's behind the wall. He spotted him. Is Coollerz just AFK? He's like, right, well, it's impossible for him to do this.
He's just taken the time out to do a couple of hand stretches.
Yeah.
You know how it is. Kick back, stand up a little bit, get some H2O in his system. But the only thing Raisy is going to be finding is some deliciously devilish kills as he still adds to his total tally. But the chances of him actually getting back into this one with around 30 seconds left isn't that likely. It's going to be incredibly hard. And all Coollerz got to do is not give him those opportunities to find frags. Or if he can get another kill and round it up to a 10-5, that would be even more sublime for him.
Yeah, Raisy's just got to take the risk now. It doesn't really matter what's going on. Coollerz got his hands back on the mouse and keyboard and seems to be locking this down securely. Just too much given up by Raisy for too much of the map. And I feel like this is a very important map that's just gone the way of Cooler. Cooler's doing some very good work to actually possibly getting himself a series win. I wasn't expecting Cooler to take down Corrupted Keep, which has been, formerly known as Raisy's Keep in the past.
Well, there you have it. Cooler absolutely going sick on that one.
Yes.
It's crazy the contrast as well of how slow the early game was for like the first 3 minutes. It was around 2 minutes 50, I think, before we saw the initial kill come through to where we are now.
And we got 5 heavies in total for Raisy, and when heavy armors are that important for your champion, I mean, you need to have a bit more focus there. And I think he could have even got himself some more, but he was trying to play around the items a bit too much. And I think sometimes you just need to be greedy for the resources, and you need to take that slow play when you maybe otherwise want to be aggressive and find opportunities for damage. Yeah, bit of a funny one. Cooler playing really well. His Galena is incredibly strong. But yeah, color me slightly surprised. Like, Cooler's a fantastic player, but this is credit to me to how I hold Raisy in regard for this map.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair enough, because kind of the contrast was the fact that Cooler, at one point, he almost just turned it up to 11 and went absolutely ridiculous. We saw the 3 consecutive kills. This was the one that broke the chain at the very end that put Cooler on such a huge lead for such a long period of time. And because they wasted so much time in the initial early game, by the fact that, Cooler had only found those 3 kills in the mid-game, it was already too late because we're like 8 minutes in, there's not much you could really do. It seemed like it all just slipped away. There was a few little, tidbits that were thrown in like that. The ring out that came through that was nice.
Oh, I like that. We got both views there.
Yeah. But other than that, honestly, it just felt like Cooler was in the driving seat pretty much consistently after the first 3 minutes there.
Yeah. I mean, Raisy's aim was a little sloppy at the start, but then he suddenly his tracking from difficult angles where he's holding the high ground, which, when you've got the high ground, lightning gun's really difficult when they've got such an area of dodge. I don't know. I feel Raisy played it a little bit weird and maybe played too much into Cooler's hands at the start and tried to kind of out-defense him, and then went into something a bit too chaotic. It was very odd. That's my really bad breakdown.
Wow. The Zoot takeaway,
which I'll be ordering later.
Yeah, sponsored by T-Plate.
Let's not go there.
Well, it was a good first map. It definitely gave us some of the things we were looking at to sort of break down a little bit more. Although we do have 2 more maps to go.
I think we've got Blood Run next. Sorry, Blood Covenant next.
How do you think that's going to carry on? Is it going to be more of the same, or are we actually going to see the breakaway from the trend?
I think it was a Nyx versus Visor, correct me if I'm wrong, with Raisy playing on the Nyx. Very, very close affair. I like Nyx a bit more in this matchup, even though you've got the obvious counter with piercing sight. You're just assuming there that abilities are being used at the same time always, which when they are, sure, Vise has got an advantage, but you don't always know when abilities are being used, especially if you've got these aggressive pushes from Nyx. I think aggressive pushes are maybe a bit more the meta at the moment from what I've been seeing recently with that champion. So yeah, I hope that I hope that Raisy doesn't lose confidence in this, but I'm seeing also Cooler putting up an incredibly good fight.
Yeah, he was down for a scrap over the course of that entire map, right? He was no stranger to actively going for the confident play the whole time, which is good to see. You need to have that level of confidence getting into, I mean, really what is quite a tense 1v1 that we currently have on the line here, because neither of them can afford to make mistakes too much.
Yeah.
They do need the points as well, being sort of towards the middle of the pack at the moment.
Yeah, and I think Raisy's absolutely gunning for the victory at the moment. I know how motivated he is to be number one, to take down some more lands. So this has got to be a hurdle that he is able to jump across.
Right.
But at the same time, Cooler, he's just rock solid at the moment. And I think the practice that he's been doing recently is we're seeing that mechanical skill that he brings to land, also coming to the online portion of the games. His aim is looking super crisp.
Oh yeah, he was hitting some beautifully filthy shots there throughout that one, which is worrying because that's something that can transition over. No matter where he is, what arena he has to duke it out in, as long as you're crisp individually, you can really just run away with things in game.
I think rail is going to be very important on this map. Whoever's hitting those high percentages, we can't have anyone going below 30% at the moment.
Right.
If you do that, you're going to struggle a huge amount, and especially when Cooler's got the piercing sight, got the visor, he has to get those opening rails in to make his life anyway easier. And for Raisy, I mean, it's not just about the rail, because he can pretty much start the fight from any distance that he wants, depending how he plays.
Well, it's a whole new world, a whole new map, and another chance for some more crazy damage to be coming through from both of these players as we delve into our second map here between Cooler and Raisy. Starting off with Raisy, let's see what he can get up to.
A very sort of quiet, standardish start. Raisy just wanting to get after some weapons. I think realizes that, I'm going to give up the rail, but in giving up the rail, I also get myself the rockets along with that lightning gun, and he seems very happy with that trade. A lot of people will try to deny the rail for a long time. Raisy's happy to do whatever. He has no fear.
It's very nicely predicted to start things off, just playing off the back of the audio cues and going for the predictive rail. Though he doesn't land it, he's fairly lost her. Quite a large amount of stack as well, although he looks to trade it back, lands the rocket off, stays aggressive off the back of the phase rather than just backing off and playing it safe. He is just going to hold his own for the meantime. Actually pretty much comes out in a better position at this point.
Yeah, not too bad from Raisy. He knew he couldn't commit to the mega health anymore. Oh, he's dropped down. I don't think he wanted to do that. He's got a wall jump, but weapons outlook really awkward there for Cooler. He ends up going down to himself.
Oh.
It's like he did not expect the drop whatsoever and got caught completely out. We have got the heavy, so there's a lot of resources for Cooler to work with at the moment. Another rail's going to hit. Raisy will go for one more and will connect the shots. It's 1 to -1. Off the spawn does find Cooler. Heavy machine gun out and now position onto the mega health. It's a very good string of plays for Raisy.
Yeah, this could be huge. The minus frag that actually came through with the suicide in the back of Cooler could help him out absolute miles in this one if he can carry on and try and get a big early game lead off the back of it. Both of them turning to try and go for the re-aggression there.
Oh, that rocket's so close. He's got to watch out for the rail. It's going to be able to leave. Raisy's on thin ice at the moment. There's been a couple of movement mistakes which are sometimes going in his benefit and sometimes not. Mid-air we get from him, but the mega health will not be taken. Cooler's got plenty of time to sit back and relax for that. Get himself off the negatives.
Yeah, reset. So he can actually try and play from nil once again and look to find his first official frag of the game. Already 2 minutes in though, so the early game still proving to be a bit of an awkward feud between these two men. The lightning gun should find the frag here instead. It's the aggression out, shotgun in hand to blow into bits as he lands it with a big pupper.
Slightly annoying for Cooler that he doesn't... Oh my god, that rail. Oh, the follow-up there from Cooler. I'm going to say it's annoying that he doesn't have the heavy, but he doesn't seem to care at all. He gets a beautiful conversion kill onto the mega health, and his control, I mean, it's as if that control never left him.
Now he's woken up as well. You can see the way he's playing. He's starting to feel himself once again. Good use of the active as he's going to drop his way down. A little bit of attack coming through. The battle for the armor. Raisy's going to get it, but it will not matter. You might be able to gain the armor, but you're still being torn to shreds as Cooler's going to throw him asunder and look to add even more kills to his tally right now as we hit that 3-minute mark. The predictive LG won't work, but at least he has the lead.
I don't think Raisy's expecting Cooler to be hitting this many shots. It's really scary what Cooler's doing. Usually Raisy's the one with the sort of mechanical advantage in this matchup, and that can be the difference. But the thing is, strategically, Cooler is so sound, and when you apply good aim to it, you just can't really get into the map.
You can see the game sense there as well. Understand the audio cues. Actually times it quite nicely on the reappear there from Raisy. Although he does have a slight advantage of armor. Cooler doesn't fancy over-chewing this one and backing off to try and sustain himself for a bit longer. It's the perfect timing off to actually get his HP massively back up. Spam out the rockets as well. That could have been a ridiculous rail. You could almost feel it in the air, Zoo.
Raisy's made a nice play to manage to lock down some control. He needed that heavy armor. The fact that he didn't get punished too hard for it speaks volumes. But it looks like Raisy's kind of expecting the mega health to be up for a while and ends up just traversing the map again to spot out that heavy. I think he's quite keen to get himself vision on the mega health. He doesn't rocket jump though. I would have expected him to do that, but he's cherishing every little point of health and armor that he has. Little poke rail. Oh, and again he comes through. Rocket into Ghost Walk. And he finds him again. What is this? Cooler, he's going backwards a lot in the scores. And I think he's going to spawn off there with Nailgun going into his face. But he's very smart with this one. You always want to go to the side. If you just walk forward because you greedily want to take the weapon, you're just going to take your life with the Nailgun.
It's so rough. Cooler with the double suicide, being a martyr for himself right now. Switches it out to the shotgun. Let's see if we can see some Doom level action. Not today, as he will fall. Tying things back up now, finally, at 2-2. Cooler, it's been the smart plays, the prediction, just the game sense that he has that has been giving him the edge in terms of the tactical play. Although Raisy now starting to get fired up when it comes to the full frontal assault. Let's see if that will be the difference maker, Zoo.
Oh! A little shot. Might find him again in a moment. I like this. Rocket into Ghost Walk. Try and cut him off over towards the heavy, which is the next item. Goes with the rail, but LG, he has to outstack him over here, and the rail has allowed him to do that. Raisy's now taking the lead. I think some of the frags that he was getting right at the beginning of the game were kind of through these fortuitous, movement errors that worked out well for him. Now it's been everything, handcrafted perfectly from Raisy, and he's showing Cooler a very equal level, I think.
Yeah, this has been so much nicer. He gets the restock on the ammo for his rail as well. That's going to leave him with a bit of a smile on his face. Doesn't quite land the opening initiation rail, but he still has a lot of ammo to play with. That could be the tactical edge that he needs. So many rockets landing there as he hits him with a rocket salvo.
I think Cooler expected that he dropped already, which is why he came into the room so aggressively, and Raisy just hits rocket after rocket after rocket. Cooler's just a passenger in that situation. He can't do anything about that anymore. Oh, this Ghost Walk's for nothing, unfortunately. He spots Cooler over the other side and decides, you know what, I can't do anything with this. Hello. Maybe he can now. He's hit a ton of Tribolt damage. One rocket, he's got him in the corner. Cooler can do nothing once again. Raisy, 3 frags in the lead.
I feel like we've seen the most damage from Tribolts today that we've ever seen.
Yeah, Tribolt can occasionally take a nice little spotlight. Well, the thing is, Raisy's actually just hitting them direct as well.
Yeah.
It can be a bit splish-splashy sometimes, but this has just been, face hitting, chest hitting, everything hitting.
That's what you want to do. Punch him right in the face with a massive rocket. Let's see if he can try and do that right now, though. Raisy realizes his opponent's coming. Nice timing there. Gets the rocket off. Instantly going to be able to ghost his way out of it as he wants to just try and back off. You can see he's eager to land these ridiculous rails as well. He's been readying it up this whole time.
Ooh.
There's the initiation as he does land the early tag. The rocket's going to be coming through. Only connects one, but it's a bit of a back tag.
We find him, he's got no Ghost Walk, so he's got to be good with the rockets, and he hits 2 superb shots. But Cooler gets himself a heavy. He doesn't really have control yet. He is currently looking for it. But these rails, again, from him have just been exceptional. Cooler could very much take this. I can't believe we've got 7.5 minutes through the game already, and we've seen so much action.
It's crazy. The fights between these two are very elongated because of really what seems to be quite an equal skill ceiling in terms of understanding their opponents of a very high pedigree. It's a nice rocket to open up on. If you can get the follow-up tag, it would have been the frag. Instead, though, Raisy bails straight out onto the ejector seat, wants to get himself somewhere safe. Still hasn't found much to up his stock, though, and a bit of a fumble there from Cooler could come back to bite him in the bottom.
thing is, he fumbled, but Raisy gave a lot of respect to Cooler there and assumed that he was going to chase and find the angle onto the Mega Health. So Raisy's looking to play very, very defensively. He takes damage. He's going to run away with the Ghost Walk. He might find the light armor. He does. I think he's got the hourglasses as well, so he's reduced 30% of his cooldown. 15 seconds taken off of it. Map's live on stream. Never do it. Zoot.
Quick moves.
But, oh, the LG, he can't push him off completely. The rail is going to have the angle in time. One frag to catch up. Piercing sight being used. He knows there's no Ghost Walk. Well, that Ghost Walk is about to return.
Still looking for the follow-up rail as well. He's so close now. One frag between these two, but also around a minute left as well. This is where it gets dicey. If he's going to be able to find his way back into the game, he has to do so soon, as that stopwatch is going to be clicking as he gets the additional pickup as well. Puts him in a better position. The survivability was there, but he has to aggress now, Zoot. Raisy, he's constantly just going to play the escape game and try and keep himself at a far distance. He spots him out. Could it be the death from above? With a minute on the clock, Cooler. It's now or never if he's going to land. It pops the vision, knows his location, but it's still not really aiding him. He has to decimate him, ties it up, 5-5 between these two.
I don't know why Raisy chose to go up the bounce pad. I mean, Cooler did an amazing job being able to lock down the Ghost Walk early on and then chase for the frag. But Raisy, if he kept playing the lower levels, his life would have lasted a little longer. He hasn't got a Ghost Walk up still. That's going to be the frag going towards Cooler. Raisy again exposing himself. Coollerz looking for a second map win in the row. Upsets galore, potentially.
He hits the rail as well. Zoot, he looks to try and give himself a certified win rather than living it up to fate. And he's going to do it. When he throws the clip in the rail, he slays from far away as Raisy hits the DECK. That looks like it's going to be it. The GG's in the chat. 7-5 as Cooler walks away as champion in this one.
Cooler looking really, really good. And there's just a couple, these tiny little mistakes. I say tiny, I think going at the bounce pad's actually a much bigger mistake. That Raisy, I don't know why Raisy went up there. Maybe he had a read on that Cooler was chasing down to a different level, but and the HMG angle would, if he went down to mid-level, he wouldn't have had enough time to get all the HMG damage, or one rail wouldn't have been enough to kill and Raisy could escape. But it was just so risky to do. I'm surprised by what Raisy did. I thought he was going to be showing a slightly better form without these kind of errors, but Coollerz being very close to flawless.
Coollerz looks absolutely unreal.
Which the funny thing is that he wasn't looking unreal in the first couple of weeks of QPL. No. And then last week he got the 3-0 on Tox. When in fairness, I'm thinking, I mean, Tox's shape hasn't been great. I think 3-0 against him is very feasible. I actually predicted it to go the other way around, but then I think I realized, okay, this is Tox's shape that we're seeing. Cooller's shape is now just getting into form. And he's staring down the barrel of a possible 3-0 versus Raisy, which is going to feel really good for him because he's been losing a little bit too much versus Raisy in the recent past.
Well, this could be one of those mashups as well where now, obviously we've seen the stars start to align from Cooler because he is able to just excel back into his natural strength of not only being such a smart player when it comes down to understanding his opponent and normally being about 2 steps ahead, but now finding his form back again with his actual aiming capabilities, which is a huge chunk of it, right? If you're not landing those shots, even though you're outplaying your opponent when it comes to the mental game of Quake, you're not getting the actual advantage you need when it comes down to your combat. And he is definitely now starting to show if there was any cobwebs on him, he's dusted them off. Yeah. There's no dirt on his shoulders.
That last frag from Raisy was ridiculous to the rockets. His rockets have been so good this game. But Cooller's rail has blown my mind, to be fair. I think it's been some of the best rails that we've seen today, and we did just have a series with Tox in it, so it's definitely saying something. But Raisy, he needs to get some points. But you shouldn't have predicted what I predicted, by the way. Have you not learnt now that this is just the thing you don't do?
If I always go for the opposite, it works.
Yeah. Exactly. Not like often catch up basically keeps me kind of locked down.
Yeah.
But no, I'm going a bit wild today. I'm gonna make really boring predictions from now on.
From now on.
Yeah.
All right, I'll have to go back to being the zany one.
Yeah. But it's working for you, so
it
actually I seem zany in retrospect, but I'm trying my best to be boring, guys. Like I can't try any harder.
Yeah. The crazy analyst himself.
Well, maybe. We've got another map. We've got another map, and we've got some business being needed to attend to from Raisy. But business is bad at the moment. Markets are low.
Right.
We've seen the recent Raisy recession.
Oh.
It's yeah.
His tea plates aren't selling.
No, indeed.
The shelves are full of tea plates. It's a nightmare.
It's because he's just selling tea plates. Normally, you sell them in the combat.
yeah.
He's got his whole business model wrong. I think we can go into more detail on that, but
we'll find out. We'll try. We'll see what the sales are looking like. You know, if you need some investment, potentially you could invest in
Raisy.
Yeah, in Raisy's tea plate business. But opening near you soon.
On the other side, yeah, he's making some uncharacteristic errors,
right?
Which I'm very surprised at, because he punishes himself really hard. Kind of after a game, he's going to be annoyed already.
Okay.
So I wonder if going into this map he's going to play better, because some players are really good. They can get like fired up, and when they're angry, they can play even better. But we'll see with Raisy now if that's going to be productive or counterproductive, or if Cooler gets a really convincing map 3. Because 8 points for Cooler is nice and juicy.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be what he wants to definitely sort of boost him up in terms of the overall standings. It'll put him into a good spot. But as you said, I think that is a key point. It's rough because obviously normally in sort of the idea of if you're playing a best of 2, if you lose the first map, you're down in such a low point, you have to try and reset yourself and take it as a best of 1. And the fact that we have 3 maps here as well where we're going the whole hog. It's not even a best of 3, so we only play 2 of them. It's the fact that mental fortitude has to be at an all-time high. But let's see who is going to have the highest skill ceiling. We're delving back into it already. There is action underway as the DK looks to slay. Instead, though, he is going to be laid out. BJ, he is doing some damage.
Yeah, no respect there from Coollerz. Like, you've only got nail gun. Well, I got dual wield. I got lightning gun. I want first blood. I want it right now. But he gets caught out in the little cave. Rockets aren't too bad. It's a bit splish splashy, but now the LG, he should be able to close it up, but barely, with 1 point of health. Now he's like, what is the health that I can go for that's reliable? Fortunately for him, the mega spawns just in time as Cooler was preying on him.
That is such a saving grace as well. That could have instantly been a 2-1 back into the action there for Cooler. A lot more of a high-octane start in this one, Zoo. It seems like everyone's a bit fired up.
Yeah, and this is a matchup where when we saw the veto, I was a little bit scared for Raisy, despite my predictions, because DK isn't traditionally the Super Saiyan champion that we have. BJ's had a lot of success in the past. He's had his own era, and we know that Cooler's very good with him. But we can see Raisy's good at making unusual champions work, but that, I mean, there's just so much damage coming through. I don't really know why Raisy thought it was a good idea to go through. Cooler just holding rock solid position and being rewarded rightfully for that.
I do love the Akimbo lightning gun, I've got to say. It's got a special place in my heart.
Raisy's... Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know why he was there.
It's definitely not all...
I was going to say for the scenic route, but it's honestly like... There's a window outside, and you can look at the scenery there.
Well, it looks like we're pushing up Raisy's right now.
No, I don't understand.
We'll get there. It's fine. It's fine. Over the course of the weeks, we'll gain
work on this.
the joke understanding. I think that's a pretty good one, honestly. I feel like that was up there. That wasn't bad.
Rate him in chat. Well, Cooler, again, he's just... Alright, I got high ground control. I think it's high ground, not up ground. Is he going to get back to heavy in time? He looks like he is, because Raisy's up to bounce pad, trying to, again, see what's going up. It goes right through, walks into Cooler, and, yeah, Cooler's just going to mash him apart. This is super stable from Cooler at the start of Veil. Raisy had a good comeback after the first frag, but he needs to bring out something else, and he needs to be a little bit more creative with how he takes high ground control, as Cooler's just dominating that position at the moment.
4-1. Nearly 3 minutes in at this point. Cooler playing that slower style at the moment, as he knows he has a huge advantage in the overall killing aspect of things, as he can just afford to burn down the clock, get his stock into a nice brimming style, and then look to take the fight when it suits him. Off cooldown as well, so we can see some Akimbo atrocity coming through. For now, though, just sticking to the solo rocket. There's going to be the LG to come through, fully committed, happy with his skills. The rocket will be the haymaker that slams Raisy in the jaw and sends Cooler further up.
Raisy just can't make those plays. Cooler's really good again at going against these kind of little double pushes or double peaks. I mean, he had Cypher to deal with for years, and he's just double, triple peaks. That's all he does. That's his game style. Oh my god, it's a direct, and he finds another from below. That is disgusting. You know how I was talking about, being angry can either make you play better or worse.
Yeah.
I think it's been answered. And maybe just Coollerz like absorbed that, and now he's also angry and he's playing better.
That's actually how he works. He's some kind of primordial gamer that essentially feeds off the life energy and emotions of the other player he's playing
Actually
against.
a really good way to break down Cooler. I think you couldn't have put it better. That's flawless.
Yeah. And one day he will awake his Lord Cthulhu.
He's doing that right now because, yeah, Raisy not standing a chance, and it's very unusual to be seeing this.
Oh,
this would be never have something I would have predicted. I mean, we're 4:20 into the game, but it feels like we're close to 10 minutes at the moment.
Yeah. For me, though, it's the fact it's like the difference of this map compared to everything else we've seen in this series so far. It doesn't even look like it's the same two players.
Yeah. No, it doesn't. And honestly, this DK pick is just slightly bewildering to me. He got a bit of a buff in the patch. His fire on the floor lasts a bit longer, but it's that main. Oh, there's a chance, but somehow Raisy ends himself. Did he hit the pillar there or something? Cooller's fairly low, so there's another opportunity for Raisy. He's just investing life after life to try and get himself on the board, but Cooller's just absorbing all the hits, taking back the control, and just getting more frags.
Yeah, he is pretty comfortable right now. Nimbus with a rocket, but he's going to go straight through. This is the closest they've been as they get up close and personal. Raisy really not following the nice personal space rules.
Yeah, I think Cooler got a bit lost through that teleporter. I don't think he really knew what was going on. So we got, well, about to be two major items. I think Raisy realizes the heavy's there, and he really wants that. He's trying to see what is Cooler going to go for. Is he going to go for anything? Cooler's actually at the bottom in rail and just trying to stare down that item. Doesn't hit it. Okay, so Raisy's got a chance to get himself back in that, but has the damage been done already? One rail, and now it's chase, chase, chase. And Cooller's making a good little chase himself. Got dual wield. LG would have been a really nice weapon then. Even though there's going versus the dual wield, he should have been able to outstack him. Cooler going down the tri-bolt.
Oh. That was actually very nicely played. That was beautiful.
That's a good little flick that he had at the end.
That was really smooth. The constant aggression now. Bear in mind, we haven't actually burnt that much off the clock. We've still got about 4 minutes to go. If he can try and get himself back in the game, it could be a difference maker. If he finds a third frag here, maybe there's still a chance, as he will not slow down. He's constantly pushing forward as you run towards the fire, Zook.
He had to hit that initial rail when Cooler was going towards the heavy. That makes life so much easier for you. Cooler runs in, he hits a nice shot on the walk past. He's now got control over the mega health. Loads of entry damage in this position, and Raisy does not have the capabilities of hitting the rail himself. It wouldn't even got the kill. Cooler's go backs, continues control again. And one missed rail, and that's most of your opportunity gone. There's the dual wield, and Raisy explodes in delight, or disgust. 11-2, and I think the one major chance that we've had to come back in, I'm not sure if that opportunity is going to present itself again, because the clock is ticking just way too hard at the moment.
Yeah, it's rough right now. Both players just enjoying their R&R for Cooler. It's the relaxation that's working out well for him. For Raisy, it's the fact he needs to hit some of those Raisy rails, but he's just not really being able to. It's a 3-11 scoreline for him. He just doesn't have much time left on the clock. As much as he scampers around trying to force the issue, Cooler has no reason to give him those opportunities anymore. Look at him, he's just sat there. He's playing it smart.
There's something off about Raisy. His timing has been weird this entire series. That's something that hasn't been a weakness for Raisy for a year at least.
Right.
Over a year. He ironed that out, his timing issues in the first year of Quake Champions, and we're kind of seeing it crop up again. This is not what we expect from him. Ooh. Sitting up on heavy 5 seconds after it's taken already and wondering where it's spawning for 10 seconds is, yeah. It's too big of a mistake already versus Cooler, who you'll barely ever see making a timing mistake.
Yeah, Cooller's just been impeccable as well with the shots he's been hitting. Just happy to take every single fight that is going to be given to him. There is any opportunity for him to blow you to bits, he'll absolutely grab it with both hands, and that's what we're witnessing so far. It's a 13-3 scoreline. He'd need to get 10 kills in the space of 1:30. It's just fundamentally not going to happen. I think Cooler might walk away with the full points here for this series.
Yeah, something just didn't work for Raisy. This is going to taste really good for Cooler. because Raisy's been a huge nuisance to him, and he's said in the past that this is just a matchup that doesn't work well. Sometimes you just have those conflicts with a certain player. You might even be ranked higher than that player, but you can't deal with their style. I feel like Coollerz had that issue with him in the past, and now he gets a sweet victory for a lot of points. And it's going to put him in good stead now. He's been needing to get up on the points charts for a while, and he's definitely doing that at the moment.
Oh yeah, this is him really starting to come back and with a vengeance as well. He's really starting to, once again, chisel his name into the history books. At this point, though, it's looking like it is just a matter of time until this is down and out. Raisy on the hunt, hoping to find him. Cooler, not conceding anything else. Doesn't want to give him those additional frags to try and give him a little bit of a pat on the back. He will just play it as safe as possible and look to see if he can further his lead anymore. Misses with a near rail, but that's the akimbo coming out. It could be the double lightning gun to finish it, and what a spectacular way it would be as sparks start to fly. Raisy gets blown to pieces.
I wonder if we got a slightly early GG again from Cooler. It's kind of the moment's gone already. I mean, he could have said GG 45 seconds ago, and it would have been totally legit. I'd be very I just wish I knew Russian so I could see, on his stream if he breaks down the game, and to him talking about how he wrecked Raisy.
Right.
Because this is unusual. Raisy needs to find his feet again. It's not just left me worried in just about this series, but what does the next couple of weeks of QPL look like for Raisy? This is a bit of a concern.
It's a rough one. I mean, whilst we've got the time for this as well, why don't you give me the overview on that? Obviously, we saw it was so obvious to the human eye of what was making Coollerz so brilliant throughout that series, but what was going wrong for Raisy? Is there anything you noticed there that potentially you feel like timing to slip away?
Timing was one thing. At the beginning of this map, he was trying to take high ground control by just going through the teleporter. I was going to say it, one does not simply just go through the teleporter, especially when you've got someone like Cooler who's holding control up there. You've got to be more creative. You've got to have more of an idea of where your opponent is. And it felt like he was making these assumptions. And if you make an assumption in Quake Duel and you're not right, it's too dangerous. You can never make those assumptions unless it's a highly educated guess. I just don't think Raisy had reason to be that faithful in some of his reads. And Cooler was just also so solid. He hit something like 16% rail. I think he hit like 1 of 6, but it didn't matter. All his fights were LG and rockets.
Yeah,
that's where it was so important. And also, I think DK just wasn't a good pick either.
No,
we've seen him work because you do have a few, not as that many health bubbles on the map, so you can get that damage over time working fairly well. But I don't think it justifies picking it over, say, something else. I'd make some examples, but I'm sure there's a few of them that you could have used. If was Clutch banned, probably, because it is Raisy. Most people would ban Clutch against him, but even that's something you'd consider.
It's rough. It is a rough one, but definitely nice play there coming through from Cooler.
Really
looking
nice
like
Cooler.
he's
really nice.
He's back in the game at this point. He's woken up. He's fired up.
He's looking like basically QuakeCon shape right now, and considering we went a couple of weeks like wondering where the hell did that shape go. I mean, he's right back in the standings. He'd be contesting anybody in the EU-CIS region at the moment.
Well, we'll see who else is going to be a contender, as there is more Quake Pro League to go here in the EU/CIS region. We'll be back after the break with more exhilarating play.